Roses are red, violets are blue. I suck at poems. Nice tits.
Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy Mega Meeple. Greetings and welcome to the Mega Meeple. This is the second episode of Season 4. And appreciate you people smashing that download button. I am recording and broadcasting live. Actually, no, not really. I am alive, which is a good thing. Bad thing for some, good thing for some people, bad thing for others, I guess. But hey, yeah, deep underground and hunkered in a bunker in an undisclosed location, staying away from all those crazy ass people going out there thinking that coronavirus is a hoax, or you know their civil liberties are being trounded on, or some dumb shit like that. Anyway, yeah, enough politics. Yeah, so we are continuing on my little Fireside Chat, Shoot the Shit series here on Season 4. Since the whole coronavirus and the quarantine and crap like that, I'm not going to talk about solo gaming because that's pretty much everybody is talking about, because that's pretty much what most people are doing. But instead of doing that, I'm just having people on, some previous guests, in some cases, come back onto the podcast, and we just shoot the shit about anything. Last episode, we heard from Antoinette Mason. We talked about Ireland, and we got a bunch of other people coming up here in the next few weeks. In fact, this week, you are actually going to be getting not one, but 2 episodes. Actually, when this particular episode drops, the AEW pay-per-view Double or Nothing would have already been in the can. It's already in the books. It's already broadcasted. So hopefully, talking to my future self, I hope I'm a happy camper as a result of the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. I hope all my guys and gals won and all the bad guys lost. But we'll see. But what we did, I guess about 2 or 3 months ago, because unlike WWE, AEW actually put some, value into their pay-per-views. They do one every 3 or so months. But I think it was Revolution. We did an AEW episode with my friend Jason Perez of Every Night is Game Night and Tony Miller from the Bearded Rogue on Twitter. And we just hashed through the pay-per-view, what we liked, what we didn't like, and all that stuff. We're going to do that again. So it'll be coming out. I think if everything goes well, I think I'll be getting that out sometime Wednesday or early morning hours on Thursday, because I'm a night owl. I'm a vampire. I think it is, because I'm sleeping most of the day and up all night. I'm just a party animal. Say. Anyway, so look forward to that coming up later in the week. For those of you who are wrestling fans, and for those of you who are not wrestling fans, well, you could just skip that episode. I don't give a shit. So that's the way it is. So this episode, who do we have talking to? Well, I mean, I could tell you who we have coming up in the following weeks. We have, Luke Hector from the Broken Meeple. We have Elizabeth Davidson, Solo Games, Julie Aaron. We have Jen Bartlett, Board Game Librarian, coming back. And we have Bob and Ryan from One Day West Games, or in this case, One Day West Band. They do have a game, that new one that just came out, Kickstarter. I think we talked a little briefly about that one, but since that's we're pretty much all a bunch of musicians, I think we talked more about music and our favorite gear and stuff like that. So look forward to that. So who do we have today? I don't know. Let me look at my notes. We have the most adorkable couple in board gaming. I'm still not sure what that word means. I just when I watch Randy and Ellen Kirby's content, I mean they're just a cute, adorkable couple. I don't know. So those are my guests for today. And what did we talk about? I don't know. Because it's been so long since we recorded it, I forgot what we talked about. I won't find that out until I edit this episode. But here's the final cut right here. So let's get to it and enjoy. Back to the Mega Meeple. And if you heard our last episode, I spoke to Antoinette Mason over in Ireland. And this time I'm coming a little bit closer to home. A little bit closer to home. It's in the States, at least. So, yeah. Right. You guys are in Wisconsin, right?
Wisconsin.
Or
Wisconsin. Wisconsin is some of the locals say.
Or Wisconsin.
Wisconsin happens a lot. Yeah.
Nasally tone going on.
We draw our edge a little bit, but not as bad as most people in the state.
Well, if you recognize their voices, it is Randy and Ellen Kirby.
Hey, y'all.
The Kirbys.
I'm the Randy. She's the Ellen.
That's right.
So, how are you two doing?
Oh, we're quite well, Thomas. How are you?
We're still above ground.
That's good. Ground level is always better than below ground, right?
Staying outside of those chalk lines, as I say from my police friends. So how is how's this whole quarantine thing affected you guys up there? Is it kind of, North Carolina, they started kind of relaxing the whole shelter in place type thing.
Well, I actually have a friend whose husband works in finances, and he's been home working for about a month, and they just actually told him everybody could come back into work. And then there are actually a few stores that are opening now. So things are slowly starting to open here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, they're testing it right now. They're kind of opening up some of the strip malls.
Right.
And they're saying 5 people maximum in the stores. So they're kind of giving it a test run and kind of seeing how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, as far as our life here at the house with quarantine, honestly, not much has changed because I don't really go out a lot in general. This is kind of my life anyways, just being home. But the biggest change is having to homeschool the kids. Again, we actually homeschooled a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and then we finally sent them to school because Mama was done. And now that quarantine happened, they're back home again.
Yeah.
So that's been interesting.
This is their last week of school, though. So
yes,
they're done on Friday.
Thank you, Lord.
So they're done a little bit earlier than a lot of schools, but we start pretty early and don't take as many breaks throughout the year. So.
Ready? So yeah,
I'd ask you how yours is, but I'm assuming that you probably have answered that question with a number of people already.
Right. Probably sick of that question.
Yeah, things haven't changed that much from my last report. It's still.
And where are you located again?
I am in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay. Oh.
So
you're not far at all.
Yeah.
It's what, 10, 12 hours?
Something like that. Speaking of Ireland, Randy actually, him and I went 2017.
You did?
We brought our 8-month-old which was interesting.
It went well.
He was actually a really good traveler.
Yeah.
We kind of strategically decided that that's when we needed to go on our trip to Ireland, because I couldn't leave him quite yet at 8 months. And then if he was any older, he'd be like walking and trying to run away from us. So we brought him at a time when he couldn't walk
walking
yet.
over the edge of the cliffs of Moher or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
we
talked about that.
Cliffs of Moher.
Yeah, that was a fantastic
Amazing
trip. I love
place.
Ireland so much.
Yeah, me and Antoinette Mesa talked about Ireland and talked about Father Ted TV show, which is sort of like our favorite. But but I went the whole hostel route. So I think if my body is ever able to do that trip again, I think I would do the proper hotel thing, because I've seen too many horror. I'm a big horror movie fan, and I've seen too many. I don't know if there's a reason that they made the movie Hostel. Eli Roth did that, but ever since then, I was like, I don't know if I could.
Right. We did the bed and breakfast route.
Yeah.
And we actually went like on the shoulder season, so like a lot of the bed and breakfasts were closing down in like the next 3-4 weeks. So we had some of them completely to ourselves,
right?
Except just us and the hosts, and we did a lot of research on each one, and that so we were making sure that we were gonna get stuck with a family that doesn't like little infants or something like that. But we did all bed and breakfast, and that was really nice. Being able to get up for breakfast every morning and talk, and kind of pick their brain for what the best of the area has to offer, and make plans, according to their suggestions and things.
We did all of Southern Ireland in like 8 days, so we were in a new B&B every single night.
We basically went due south of Dublin, followed the entire coast all the way around till, what's that city? Huh?
Oh, Dingle?
No, well, it's north of Dingle. What's the one that castle place that you like is in?
Oh, Cashel.
No.
I don't know then.
I can't remember, but it's basically due west of Dublin. So we basically, due south, follow the entire coastline all the way up till you get about directly west of Dublin, and then headed straight back over. Okay. And we did that in 8 days. We drove about 4 to 5 hours every day.
Yeah. Whenever we'd see something cool, we'd jump out of the car, quickly get a picture of it, jump back in and go. And actually, some of the B&B hosts were a little upset with us, because they're like, you are not enjoying Ireland to its fullest. You're on the road too much. But it was what we wanted to do. We wanted to be like just zipping through, and we showed did.
Yeah, see, I didn't do the driving bit. I had a friend said, well, don't go on any tours. Just fly over there and get off the plane and ask for directions. And so, I had an itinerary of things that I wanted to see, but once I went over there, I just kind of made it up as I went.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Magical place.
Yeah, that's very cool. We generally do that. We'll pick a plan of what we really want to do. Usually we'll over plan, knowing that we'll drop stuff off. Mm-hmm. And, if we like a certain spot, we'll kind of maybe linger there a little bit longer before we go to the next one, or just drop off a destination altogether. So we try to be flexible, but I don't think I could take a vacation where it's not planned.
Randy is a planner. Like, oh my gosh. I am not. I would be like just showing me like, where do we go? But and thank goodness for Randy, because it would have been a nightmare if I planned it. But pretty much every hour was like accounted for, knowing that we would end up chopping a lot of it. But you kind of have to do that when you're spending that much money. You have this one time to do this, for who knows how long, and we're like, going to make it happen.
I could go off the cuff and change and stuff. So I'm not like, I don't plan to be strict.
Right.
I plan to go, okay, this is what I really want to see. So I want to make this. I want to try to make this happen. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of research and things if I really want to see. But if I don't see it, I don't see it. Do something else.
That was an incredible trip. I left a piece of my heart over there in Ireland.
Yeah. So how did you guys how did you two meet? Did you meet via board gaming or photography or?
None of the above.
None of the above.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
But, we actually met through church.
Yes.
Her dad was a pastor, and So her dad was a pastor way back. So we found out kind of that we actually had some interactions as kids that we never knew about,
Right.
Which was just kind of a side thing that we found out later. But we were just kind of friends mostly. And then she actually started working for mine and my brother's company as like a
you got
secretary.
me hired on because you had a crush on me. That's just be serious.
That
here.
might have had something to do.
He's like,
with
I know
it,
this girl who can be the receptionist.
You did an excellent
well,
job.
honey,
Ellen.
thank you. I appreciate that.
But our relationship was very much a on off as far as a friendship goes, where Ellen kind of hated me at times.
I was so mean to Randy. Oh my gosh. We would be friends, and then as soon as he started showing, interest, or like I thought he was being too nice, I would back way off. And yeah, I just found out a couple of things that I did that were really rude. Like years ago that I didn't even know that I was doing. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I love you. He's like, I don't care. But yeah, we were very on and off. And so I walked up to him one day at work and I said, oh, fine, I'll date you. He's like, oh, okay. So we went on like 4 or 5 dates and then I dumped him. Yep. And then I
about 3 weeks
proposed to him about 5 months later.
Yeah. So yeah, we dated for 3 weeks officially. I mean, we had known each other for a number of years. Dated officially 3 weeks. She dumped me for like the next 5.5 months. And then we're kind of walking along. I'm thinking, okay, this is going well. We might kind of officially get back together here. And we went into the relationship initially with the potential goal of getting married. It wasn't just, we knew that could be a possibility, if you will. And we were walking along and she's like, are you going to ask me anything? So I'm like, okay, we're going to get back together. All right. I said, well, I don't know. What do you want me to say? She said, well, I love you and I want to marry you. So I'm like, let's do that.
I was like, are you going to get on?
It's the
right. I'm like, well, you kind of caught me off guard here. And then we ended up getting married, June, like about 4 months later after that.
Right.
So it was a very, very quick.
When you know what you want. When you know what you want.
It's that was a pretty clear signal. No,
right.
Well, I was like, babe, I feel like I needed to propose, ask you to ask me to marry you because you're never going to. You're just taking too long. And he's like, not the way that you treated me. I wasn't going to ask you.
Yeah, there was no chance that was coming out of my mouth first.
And so I knew that.
With our
so
previous,
all right, let's make this happen. Let's make it happen, Captain. So romantic. I think the night that I got us engaged, he was running me to Walmart for errands and things like that. It wasn't this magical planned anything. It was just, I was like, hey, I need some deodorant. Can you take me to Walmart?
Those are, that was, that's a relationship. So, I think that's part of the reason why we've been together for 12 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's sweet. That's why I think, I don't know where I heard the noise, but I think one of your posts, I said something was like adorkable.
Adorkable. Oh, yeah. I love that.
I'm not sure what it means, but it just, to me, it just resonates a thing of, just I don't know,
I love
happy, sweet, cute, fluffy, I don't know.
I love it. I do.
I think I felt the meaning properly. So
I love it. I took no offense. I loved it. That's great.
So, talk shop. What? All right. I'm a Canon guy. What kind of photography equipment do you use?
We are Canon folks as well. We have a pair of 5D Mark IIIs, and then just about every prime and zoom lens, from 35 to 200.
Wow.
Yeah. We got a Sigma too, and
we do have a Sigma 35 and a Sigma 50.
Yeah. Which are good.
Yeah, they're actually great lenses. Yeah. They once you send them in, you can send in the body and the lens to Sigma, and they'll calibrate them for you. So I bought that they have like a home USB calibration kit thing.
Huh?
And I got it pretty close, but it's still nothing as good as what they do. And they take that in for free and kind of calibrate everything for you. So
what do you like to photograph, Thomas?
Primarily My camera, I got a Canon 80D,
Mm-hmm.
and I got I think one of the more entry level Canons, and then maybe like four or five lenses. Uh, but yeah, I mean, the most photography I've done is usually with my phone.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
that
Right.
I mean,
stuff.
come on,
So
me
Great.
too.
of course I'll take pictures of the game as we're playing it. Um, but I'm big on landscapes because back when I was a teenager, I would take oil painting classes,
Oh,
and
cool.
that
Mm,
was the big thing that I always enjoyed painting was landscapes. So I
Yeah,
think
that's my favorite thing to shoot.
yeah, right.
Landscapes and like cityscapes and things. Um, that's my favorite to shoot for sure.
I like to photograph my kids. Is that cliche?
It is
And
a
I
little.
mostly use my phone too, even though I have a wonderful camera and know how to use it.
Yeah.
It's not something I have in my back pocket all the time.
Yeah, we don't pull them
So
out very often
I
on a
do wish I
day-to-day
would, though. I
basis.
really wish I would, but
We take it all of our trips and that, but
I mean, we're photographers, so we get paid to go out and do that, and it can be fun and it can be a joy, and it is fun to work with people, but it's really more of a job
hmm
that
yeah,
I'm just kind of like, all right, let's go make some money.
yeah, I had
So I don't love it, but
I had a photography business back. Oh hell, it was probably I think it was in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. But I called it portable portraits, where I
hmm,
cool.
basically had my own. It was basically a mobile studio with the lights
sure,
Interesting.
and
oh yeah,
backdrops and stuff like that. So I'd
Yeah.
go and so my niche was basically, well, rather than parents trying to get their kids all dressed up, and by the time you get to the Sears photo place,
hmm
their hair is all messed up, and their clothes are wrinkled and stuff like that.
right,
So I would take the studio to them, and
Yeah, that's brilliant.
have the photos and portraits done in their own living rooms, and in front of the
That's
fireplace
yeah.
mantle or that type of thing.
We
And it
do
got to
online
it was cute. It
photography.
was one of those things where, but after a while, the last thing I wanted to see on a weekend was a camera.
Yep,
yep,
I hear you. I hear you. Especially, oh my goodness, like fall time is our busy season, and I had to like mentally brace myself for the fall time because I'm flying out the door every night when he gets home from work because I have a photo shoot at the park, and then I come home and that's a ton of photos that I have to edit during the day, and then we'll have a wedding on the weekend. So I mean, I feel bad like being whiny and complaining about it because it's wonderful income, but it's a big job.
It
It
is.
really is.
And
yeah, yeah,
that's one thing I didn't bring myself to. I couldn't bring myself to do was weddings,
Mm,
and because it's like, yeah, it's a wonderful day, but it's the most
right.
stressful day,
Mm,
and I just didn't want, as the photographer, I didn't want to get into the middle of, you know this mother-in-law wants such
yeah.
and such a thing done, and the mother-in-law on the other side wants a totally different thing done, and
Oh
it's
my
like, you know
goodness.
what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it happens.
I
It
can't. I
happens.
can't. I don't think there's enough money to pay me enough
Well, it's very
to
stressful
put
because
myself
you
under
realize
that.
how important it is to the couple. Like it's their biggest day.
Uh
So
huh.
you can't mess up. I mean, and we always have backup equipment. So I never go into a wedding day being like, I hope this works. Like we have what we need to make sure it gonna work. But it's very just high pressure all day. And there are definitely fun moments. And I'm not like, on pins and needles all day, but it's a big responsibility and you want to get them beautiful photos that they're gonna, love will be timeless and you know how important it is to them. So it definitely has that high pressure job feel. Yeah.
I wouldn't do a wedding by myself. The only
Oh
reason
no.
that we do weddings is because we're together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. hmm Yeah, I actually have a funny story about our photography and our
Uh-oh.
cameras. We were up north. on a family vacation. This was 2 summers ago, I believe. And so we got to the camp place. I'm unloading the van, and I see Randy on the dock taking pictures, landscape pictures of the lake. And I'm walking up the stairs away from him. My back's to him, and all of a sudden I hear plop, and I hear, oh shoot, and then a big splash.
Oh,
I
no.
turned around. Randy had dropped the entire camera in the lake, and then Randy jumped in after it.
I did.
Oh my god!
This was like the beginning of vacation.
It was
too. This
the
was like
first
day 2
day.
or something, or day 1.
It was the day we
Well,
got
see what
there.
happened was I had it on the dock,
Why?
and then I picked up my little
my
folding
gosh.
chair. When I picked up my folding chair, the leg looped the neck strap and then launched it into the lake.
Just like launched it.
Now it was just off the dock, so it only went down like 6 feet.
Oh,
And yeah, I I had to find a hardware store with some like screwdrivers and stuff. So I took the entire thing apart, took the entire lens apart, all the elements apart, and I got it working well enough that it would mostly work for the rest of the weekend.
mostly.
And then we had obviously
impressed.
spare lenses with us, so I
Yeah.
didn't end up using that lens because it's just too
Watery.
But I got like all of it out, and I had a hair dryer on it. and
Oh, he
everything.
worked for hours. I think actually the first like 2 days, because we were there for a good 7 days. The first like 2 days were him sitting at the picnic table working on it for hours. And I'm like, baby, you gotta let it die. Let it die,
Well,
bury
I got it working because we were going to like a sculpture garden stuff a few days afterwards, so I knew I needed to have this thing at least mostly working. So I like I said, I got it mostly working, and then it's insured. So
Right.
once I got back home, we got it replaced. I made an insurance claim in that. But
I wish I could
that
say
was-
too that my
that was a
reaction was like,
pain
oh
in
my
the neck.
gosh, are you okay? Like what's and I just my first reaction was I started laughing
Yeah, she started
so
laughing.
hard. Just because just hearing a huge splash and turning around, Randy's like underwater.
okay,
Oh
if it
my
wasn't
gosh.
insured, I would have been like crying. Because I mean,
I
that
know,
was
sorry.
our
Oh,
what was that? That was the
it's fancy
24
one.
to 70 2.8, and then obviously our 5D. So I mean, that was, I don't know,
That's a lot of dollars.
almost $4,000
Thomas.
worth of equipment that just popped
That's
into
a
the
lot
lake.
of dollars.
But
Anyway,
the insurance was only $250, so it wasn't the end of the
Right.
world. So.
so hire us. We're great photographers. We only put our equipment in the water sometimes.
Well, that's why we always have at least 3 cameras.
That's
with
right.
us.
Just don't get Randy by a lake, all right?
That reminds me of one a friend of mine was a championship barefooter skiing,
Okay.
and
Oh.
each year around January they would have this meet type of thing where they'd have all these I don't know, I guess well-known skiers and barefooters and stuff like that come up to Lake Norman, and he had hired me to take some of the promotion stuff and some of the action shots. So there was one bit where they were the skier was up on the pier,
Mhm.
and the boat was out there ready to rev up and go. So I thought, well, I thought a good action shot would be them coming off the pier, ready to. So I positioned myself just slightly in front of them. So
Right.
it's like the pier was like L shaped. So they're standing, where the boat's gonna pull them off. So I go up to that long pier path that goes out into the lake. So I thought, okay, and get a good action shot. Well, evidently, when the boat pulled them off the pier, I took the shot. I was doing like, and they landed in the water, and I'm thinking, the spray is going to be behind them, when they
Right.
pull
Right.
off, which is true. But
Happened a little bit.
but when they went into the water, it was all in the front too, and I just got this big
Gosh.
wave just come over on the camera, and I was wet, and it was like, oh crap. So
Man. Did any of the pictures turn out?
Yeah, was that film then?
that was filmed then.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's rough.
Did you get anything or no?
I think I got enough for them to use it in their magazine.
Oh,
so
cool.
I don't think they. Yeah,
Just
I
didn't
don't
get
think
that
they
much.
use that shot.
They're like, we don't. No, we don't want that. That's hilarious.
But wow.
Goodness.
So
That's
how
good.
how did you guys get into it? What was your first board game that you guys got into?
So I purchased quite a few games, probably like 30-ish or so over the course of, I don't know, 6 months, maybe,
Sure.
somewhere around there. Maybe close to a year.
Yeah.
And just I tried to keep getting like all these different kinds of games, cooperative games, lighter games, somewhat heavier games, and trying to get Ellen into the hobby because I like games a lot. And I haven't played board games on a regular basis for quite some time before that. And I just try to keep finding something that she liked. And she never, she kind of played along, but she was never really into it. So, all right, I want to give you a challenge. I want you to find a game that you think you'll want to play, and we'll try it out. And I just kind of gave her free reign. I didn't suggest anything or anything. And she came across The Castles of Burgundy by Stefan Feld. And when she picked that, I'm like, oh, I've heard of this. It's a little bit older, which obviously that's not a problem, but it's a little bit older. And I knew it didn't look fantastic design-wise. And I'm like, I know that's kind of important to her. So I'm like, okay, this might be quite the flop. And I knew it was not, Castles is not a super heavy game, but it's definitely heavier than any of the other games we've tried so far. So like, this is.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it like Gateway or anything.
No. And I'm like, this is going to be a flop, but I'll buy it. And we got it all set up, and she loved it.
I loved it. Thomas. It was so good. And he's like, why did you decide to get this one? I'm like, because I love castles and I love the color burgundy.
I said, all right.
That is literally the reason I picked it up.
Hey, works.
100%.
Whatever works. I'm game with
Randy
whatever.
tried to get me into board gaming for a long time, and like I would play with him, but it didn't spark that joy. It wasn't fun to me, and I kind of found out that I'm way too competitive. And I'm like, I don't want to game with you because I'll just be mad for losing all the time. I'm like, that's not healthy. I can't. I get so angry. And actually, I laughed because on our honeymoon we played foosball, and he beat me by a point, Thomas. One stinking point, and I was legitimately upset. 1 point
is all it takes.
Okay. All right. I was so mad for like the rest of the day on our honeymoon. And I remember thinking that day, we cannot play games of any kind together. And that was like years before board gaming. So in my mind, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play him. I'll get way too mad. And certainly I do have some anger issues losing against him.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm getting better.
You're getting better, yes.
I'm getting better. Oh my goodness. But I actually thought it was really cool that I reached out to the Dice Tower community when I was at a pivotal point in my board gaming life. I was like, do I give this up forever, or do I try to overcome and just like work through getting ticked all the time?
Yeah, because there's a while where I was like, I'm just done playing games.
I actually like left the board game group officially. Like I left the group and I was about to leave the Dice Tower group because I found that I was getting too upset too often. I'm like, this should be fun, right? This is games. Like whatever. So I reached out to the community of Dice Tower, and I found it very cool that there were so many people that reached out to me, and they're like, I struggle with the same thing. They're like, you are not alone. This is an actual thing. It's like a spouse thing, I think. For me, I don't know. I thought it was very cool. A lot of people reached out, made me feel better, and even some people gave me tips of like how to like go into a game with a mindset that'll help me like not be angry when I lose. Which sounds silly and dumb, but it's true, man. I needed help. So I've overcome that, obviously. I mean, here we are, and I legitimately call myself like a board gamer. I love it, but it took some time.
Yeah, and everything kind of blossomed from there. We got, we found out that obviously, we both are very much Euro gamers. That's, most of the games that we have are some kind of Euro style game. And so we kind of just found a genre and a general type of game that Ellen liked, and we just kept kind of buying similar stuff to that and kind of expanded out here and there. And
Yeah.
so
And
now
here
we play at least a few games a week.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
That's cool.
Have you been gaming forever?
No, I started 4 or 5 years ago.
That's it?
That's right about when we were doing it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Thomas.
And
I thought like been doing it forever.
No, I had there was a time before that I went to some kind of a meetup, and it was like years and years ago, but it was like a board game meetup, and I'm sure if I could remember the games that they were playing, I would know what they were. But I'm a video gamer from
Sure.
the 80s,
Yeah.
so I went to this thing. I was like, I have no idea. These are such odd games. I have no idea I've never heard of these games. I don't understand them. Blah, blah, blah. But I was actually introduced to the whole gaming aspect via Savage Worlds RPG. I just started getting a whole bunch of games, and it was like you go through that phase at the beginning. It was like, okay, well, I'm not sure what game I kind of style game I like, so I just get a bunch of everything. And then as time has gone on, it's like, okay, I know, if
And what is your favorite kind of?
It's very much it has to be big on theme.
Okay.
I can't play a game just based on mechanics alone. So I deal with the whole. I gravitate towards the dungeon crawls, the adventures. But like one of my favorites right now that I'm playing is Everdell.
So that's such a pretty game. I still need to try it. I've not played that yet.
Yeah, you gotta try it. And one of the first games that I really latched onto was Plaid Hat Games Ashes. And in fact, I got that game without even knowing anything about it. I just got it based on the art on the box.
Okay. I mean, that's what I did for Castles of Burgundy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of it was that. I knew early on that I appreciate a good theme, but it's does not really have much bearing on what I purchase.
Yeah, you know what I noticed too is I told Randy for the longest time, like, I gotta get one of those shirts that says theme matters, and like I'm like theme, and I would talk about theme a lot. I am finding 4 years into this that it's not so much theme but art. I need my games to be pretty, and I need them to be like mechanically really good. I love a good crunchy Euro. And I don't even necessarily care if it's bland theme-wise. I want it to look good, man. I want it to look good.
Yeah.
That's what I care. So art matters.
You're very much art-centric.
Yeah, if it ain't pretty, like, what's the point?
Yeah, but I could definitely identify with, getting to a point where it just, you kind of lose your passion for it. You got to refine it. It's like, I mean, I've lost track how long it's been since I've done anything for Board Game Breakfast. Just because I can't think of anything to talk about and make it halfway decent. It's like, I'm almost like thinking it's like, maybe I did it for 2 years, so I'm thinking, well, maybe I could pull out one of the videos I did like 2 years ago and just resubmit it. And how many people know the difference,
Oh my goodness, we're probably at that point.
Yeah, we've been doing it.
No, because now they'd be like, I thought you called that.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah, we just recently started doing some culling videos on there, and I think we're probably going to come to the end of those. But yeah, we're trying to come up with, something somewhat different. It's hard to come up with something unique, right? It's people have been doing so many videos for so long. It's hard to come up with something that's truly unique. And a lot of times when it's truly unique, it just takes so much time to do it.
Right.
And when you're talking about a 2-minute segment on Board Game Breakfast, you don't want to, you don't want to dump 2-3+ hours into it.
Right. Yeah. But we still enjoy it though. It's just something we do together. I mean, we're in this hobby to hang out with each other. So to me, I want it to feel like a hobby. And I always told Randy, like, the second it starts feeling like work, I'm going to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we are doing a lot. We're doing a lot of recording for just different things right now. A ton of live streaming lately. And it's all been so fun. I'm not to the point where I'm like, I got to stop this. This is getting, way too much right now. But certainly, on some weekdays when he gets home from work, where in the past, we'd be like, all right, what are we playing tonight? I'm at a point now where I'm like, you know what? I need to cool it this week. Let's do something different. Let's watch a good movie together. You know what I mean?
The challenge now, I think, for at least for me, is just staying social. Because it's like, all right, yeah, I could play games all by myself all the time. In this season of what's going on in the world.
Yep.
But it's like, yeah, let's do some episodes where it's just, and if we talk about board games, great. I think out of the hour that I talked to Board Game Inquisition last episode, I think we talked maybe 2 minutes about board games, and
Sure.
the rest of the time was just talking about all this other stuff.
I
and
love that.
just kind of, I don't know, in a sense, self-serving to me, because I don't have anybody here to
It's fantastic.
But so it's like, well,
I'm glad you reached out. I love it.
hell with it.
You have to be. I mean, to me, board gaming is social. Like, that's so important to me. I've gotten to know some of the most amazing people who would come over to our house before quarantine. Every Thursday was our game night. And it was scary at first because, like, it's my home, it's my sanctuary, it's my safe place, it's where I'm raising my children, and I don't know these people who are coming over, to play these games. It was a very new, weird thing to me. But the more and more these people came over, I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing community. And I think the social side of it just would every Thursday kind of pull me out of, if I wasn't having a good day or I had a bad attitude. It was just looking forward to that being with people and bonding over a game, and even just talking. Sometimes after games, we'd end up talking for 2 hours. We'd just sit there and hang out. I just think that's huge and so important. I mean, the social side of it is huge for me with board gaming. It's sure, of course, it's about the games, but it's about those connections too. So I think that's cool that you reached out and you just want to chit chat. I love it. Do you have any like hobbies outside of board gaming that you like? Just little things you like to do?
Now see, as far as hobbies, I consider hobbies things that I'm actively doing rather than just participate or spectating on. So right now the only active hobby I have is music.
Cool.
So I have.
I feel like I see the neck of a guitar.
Yeah, that's my bass guitar back there. So
there it is. I could spot that anywhere.
So I'll practice my bass. I have a MIDI controller keyboard here. I have a Kemper profiler, and so I'll just kind of riff on stuff and write and record songs. So those are my like my hobby, active participation hobbies. As far as other things that I'm interested in is I'm big on AEW wrestling, so I watch that all the time.
Do you like cooking?
If I could boil it in water, or throw it on the George Foreman grill. Yeah, if that's cooking, then yes.
That's what I say. I'm like, if I can put it in a crock pot and let it do all the work, yup, I'm a great chef.
So that's about it. Yeah, that's about it.
That sounds about what. Actually, since quarantine, I've been doing a lot of guitar playing. I mean, I taught myself when I was 16 to play guitar. And my mom and I play bluegrass together, and we've done some gigs before, and we'll go to bluegrass jams and all that. But I kind of got so wrapped up in just other things that I did not play my guitar for a super long time. But now I've been noticing I'm picking it up again. So that's been fun. Oh, Randy, what do you play?
I watch a lot of movies too, because I have another YouTube channel called The Horror Geek. So I'll I watch a bunch of horror movies and do like reviews and stuff like that on it.
Oh,
So,
cool.
Really? Interesting. I'm not much into horror movies.
Yeah, that's one genre of movie I don't watch very often.
Yeah,
I like thrillers.
sure.
Where it's like very suspenseful, or you don't know what's going to happen and whatever.
Yeah.
But like the creepy stuff, I don't have anything against it, but I don't know. It just never grabbed my attention.
Yeah. I like romance movies. 1800s romance. That's what I
You're
love.
very much a period movie
Yes,
watcher.
I am. I've seen it all.
Gosh, she's comes up with some of these. I'm like, okay, all right. I like them. I like the Dickens, and I like some of the BBC things and whatever. But
we just watched
some of the
Full
stuff you
Gravity.
find,
That was fantastic.
some of the stuff you find, I'm like, oh man.
Like weird stuff from the 70s. They tried to make a good movie. I'll watch all of it. I love it so much. My email address from high school that I still have is I love Darcy, because it's Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. I have not changed it. Actually, when I got married to Randy, his mom's like, you should really change that to I love Randy. And I was like, no.
Yeah. I remember that.
Like, okay. Part of the problem is the email's hooked up to so many things. I'm like, I'm not changing that.
Yeah, that's true.
Run around.
It's funny. Me and Seth from Board Games Unlocked, because he said he liked thrillers and horrors. I was like, well, so I was trying to. I only have like one video on that YouTube channel where I interviewed an actor from a movie, and that's been like my only video on there. So it's like, all right, rather than trying to figure out what movie I want to do first, so I contacted Seth and I said, well, if you like movies, let's do like our top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. So we did that, and it was funny because he went the traditional route as far as he listed. I think he listed like The Shining as his number one, and all of mine was either really esoteric movies that nobody's heard from like South Korea, or some really effed up gross shit. That's like,
oh my goodness! Like, I was just thinking The Shining. What are you doing?
So it was interesting. So Randy, what about you? What kind of got the ball rolling? What kind of hobbies you got?
Hobbies. Well, I have every hobby I get into. I usually get into it a lot, and some hobbies will last longer than others, I guess. But photography is really one of my main hobbies. Although I don't, the biggest reason I don't do it very often is because we have all the kids, and I'll take pictures of the kids. Well, I'm kidding. It's harder to just go out.
Yes, it
is. When we're out and about, we're usually have the kids with us. So, stopping for X amount of time to try to get a shot of this thing or that X is a little bit harder nowadays.
Yes, it is.
Now, when we're going on a trip or something, I'll make sure to take the time and do it. But I don't go out just and shoot stuff as much as often. But I got really into like building cars and rebuilding cars and engines and transmissions and kind of, putting turbos on cars. And
actually, Randy would do racing too. What was that?
Yeah, I did like it's called autocross. It's like parking lot racing, but it's done by the Sports Car Club of America. So they're very much simulating of a higher speed circuit, but obviously you don't have the high powered cars that have like 600 plus horsepower. So we did a lot of that. So it's a lot of handling and cornering type maneuvers. So that was a lot of fun. RC, anything. I pretty much get into anything that's RC related.
Yes, he does.
Electronics, if you can call that a hobby. I just kind of like tinkering with computers and building computers and I don't know, researching sound and how sound works with the environment that you're in.
People have no idea the kind of guy Randy is. His hobbies are amazing. They're like super smart things. Like you have to be super smart.
Smart they are.
Oh my gosh. And Randy has also done like spelunking. He would go on trips where you like have to survive in the woods for 2 weeks with like pack. What were you, like a Eagle Scout or something like that?
The equivalent of what an Eagle Scout would be in a different group.
Yes, in a different group. And he would train guys and teach survival skills and build. I just found out like 2 days ago that Randy was a junior black belt in karate when he was 14 years old. I'm like, what the heck have you not done, dude? What? And he cooks and bakes. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. He's so modest. He never tells anybody. Yeah, you love
doing stuff.
So what style did you what style did you get a belt in?
So it was, I was fairly young, 14 or so when I got that, and it originally started. Was that 14? I feel like that's older. I could probably calculate this out.
Oh gosh.
4, 10. I was probably more like 12, I think, when I stopped. But they originally started it in our school, and it was a guy, and he had like an independent studio. So it wasn't part of it wasn't like Taekwondo, for instance, where it was something specific and fairly rigid, or fairly similar to other places around the country, right? That has a fairly similar lesson plan, I guess, if you will. And so he had an independent studio, and he had gone through, and he decided to just kind of make it a karate class. So more of a generic, defense kind of a class.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a judo where you're always doing flipping. It was kind of a bit of everything. We didn't do any like the board breaking or anything, which is obviously a big thing for Taekwondo. But we worked a lot on stretching. We worked a lot on, like I said, defensive moves mostly. It was mostly a defensive class with like counteracting to defense and that. So that was kind of that, and we went through all the different belt colors, and over the few years or so that I did it for 4 or 5 years or so.
This thing is so cool. Is my man cool or what?
Oh boy.
He hates talking about himself, so I always try to gush on his account as often as I can.
Gosh.
And this is a podcast now.
Yeah, great. Oh, he could cut it out.
That's true.
Well, I had done back in my late teens, early 20s. I started out with Taekwondo, and I think I got as far as, I want to say, a purple belt, which is sort of like halfway to a black.
Sure.
But then for some reason, and I can't recall right now, but I think I moved. I moved, and there was just a more, easily located, easier to get to school, and so I dropped the Taekwondo, and there was a Kempo school near where I was, and so I started that, and it was one of these schools that would have guest senseis and stuff, masters come in and do like a weekend long workshop where you just plow away at it. And I got introduced to what's called Arnish. I think it's called pronounced Arnish. It's basically a Filipino stick fighting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I did that for a while, but during I remember during one of my Kempo classes, we were doing sparring, and somebody did a palm heel strike right to my face and broke my nose.
Oh, jeez.
So
has it ever been the same?
I had to get 2 surgeries on my nose to straighten up the septum.
Wow.
Oh my God.
But I think after that, that was the end of it. I never really went back.
Oh.
So.
I mean, I gotta say, I can't blame you.
I tried. It reminds me of snowboarding. I tried snowboarding for a while, and I was, I don't know, older-ish when I started. I was like early 20s or so, which is fairly late to start something like that.
Yeah.
And I got a good board and stuff. I don't do anything. I don't buy cheap stuff.
No,
usually.
He does not.
And not because kind
of works out for me.
Well, not because I'm snooty, but if I'm going to do something, I want to make sure that I have equipment that's not going to hinder me from, being able to be successful at whatever I'm doing.
Right.
I don't want to spend too much time fiddling with something that costs $100 if I can spend $300 and it works like it's supposed to.
Right.
That's my philosophy. So, I had some good equipment and everything, and I got it all going. And hey, it took a couple of runs down, and that I don't know, I did it for, about a season or so. And I was just never really getting that good. And it's just, I quickly found that it wasn't my cup of tea in general, but like, I'll kind of keep trying and keep going at it. So then I'm doing a run, and all of a sudden I take a digger, I land squarely on my shoulder, and I pop it out of socket.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like halfway down the hill with my arm rolled in front of me like this,
Randy,
walking down. And I was, of course, Thomas, I was on the closest hill. No. I was on the farthest hill away from any of the buildings. So I'm like, walking around. It doesn't necessarily hurt because it's just kind of hanging there. And then as I'm going along, all of a sudden I felt it go back in. And I ended up sitting down in the chateau or whatever, waiting for everybody to figure out that I wasn't anywhere by them. And they're like, "What happened?" I said, "I popped my shoulder out, and I'm never snowboarding again."
And he has not
to
this day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Was that when you were snowboarding with my brother Clayton?
Yeah. And Bam and that.
Yeah. I tried skiing one time, and I was like, "Nope, never." I tried. What do they call it? Snowplow, when you cross the skis in front.
Right.
Like you pigeon toe to slow yourself down.
Yeah.
And they like caught in each other. Took a nosedive. I'm like, nope, I'm out. I'm outie. Yeah. Never again. And I never skied again. I never want to again.
I remember my friend that I talked about earlier, the barefooter, took me and I think 2 other people out on the lake on his boat, and he rigged up his boat where there was like a pole on the side, sticking out on the side, and that's I guess that's how they train, water skiers. So we would take turns going out and trying to water. So at first we'll hold on to the pole, and then the second when we got good at that, we'll hold on to that little triangle thing handle that they do.
Yep.
And then as you feel comfortable with that, they'll just start releasing more and more rope until you're back. So
okay.
But I did get voted as the person with the most expressive facial expressions, or the most interesting facial expressions while I was hanging on to the side of the boat. So
I wish you could have seen this.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I was never, like, growing up, I was never a daredevil. Like, I had friends that were like, taking their bikes and going off these big jumps. Oh, let's make this jump bigger and bigger and bigger. Right. I'm like, I don't know, 7 inches, 6, 7 inches, that's good enough. I'll kind of bunny hop over it. And they were doing like wheelies, and they're like, doing out or whatever the, where you front. I can't remember what it's called, but
tricycle.
Yeah, and doing all these like, in like rollerblading, and they're doing like all these spins and jumps and stuff. I'm like, nah. I was a very practical kid. I'm like, that's gonna hurt at some point, and I don't want to do that.
I have a memory of being up north, being pulled on a tube behind a boat, and when I got done, my aunt told me, she's like, Ellen, we could hear your blood curdling screams
for the
entire time they were pulling you across the water. I know things like that freak me out.
Yeah,
part of it is I don't want to touch seaweed, so if I even like the ocean in general scares the ever living daylights out of me, like deep water underneath me. So when I would be in those tubes, I was just picturing like there's 100 sharks underneath me right now. Oh, so scary.
Well, thank you so much for joining me and chit-chatting away. And
that was awesome. Thanks for having us on. We had a blast.
Thank you.
I love to talk, so I should definitely let you go. Otherwise, we will be here all night.
So, hey, while I got you on, you have a Monday night playthrough. You do other things. So if people want to find out more about We Game Together, where do they go?
So we have a pretty large presence on Instagram and YouTube. Those are our two primary platforms, if you will. And we do some stuff for Dice Tower also. We'll do some previews and reviews for them once in a while, which we have to get a little bit more consistent with the reviews.
Yes, we do.
Tom gave us, dumped a bunch of games on us, and we've only gotten through, I don't know, like 5 of them or so. But so that's that. But then we also do a live plays on just about every Monday. And more recently, we've been doing like a guest live play through Tabletopia on Thursdays. So that's more of our current situation.
Yes.
Okay. So again, we'll have links to those things in the show notes of this episode. So you go check that out. So Randy, Ellen, one of the most the most adorable couple from the Dice Tower.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and happy gaming. Take care.
We'll see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you so much for smashing that download button and listening in. I appreciate it very much. If you want to find out more about the Mega Meeple, just go to the webpage. It's www.themegameeple.com. We have all the episodes there. You can listen all the way back the past 3 years of crap and see how the evolution or the de-evolution of the podcast has gone. Appreciate it. Also have the news and some interesting tidbits of press releases and crap like that. Go to the social media page, and all of my social media presence is linked right there. You can go to the Facebooks, you can go to the Twitters, you can go to the Instagrams, you can go to and if you want, you please go over to iTunes or any of your podcast services. I primarily concentrate on iTunes. But if you go there, subscribe to the podcast while you're there, put out some of that 5-star loving, and leave me a happy review, or tell me that I suck. I really don't give a damn. You go to the YouTube channel and subscribe there, and leave all your love and hate there. And if you have $1 or so a month to fork over to help with Lipson fees and crap like that, to help support the show and everything I do here, the Patreon page is also linked on the website. So thank you so much for listening. And again, stay tuned later this week. We will have our AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view analysis and review with me, Jason, and Tony. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So for all you wrestling fans out there, got to tune in for that. But until then, I'll see you guys and gals in 2 weeks. Later.